Atta boy. Yes, sir.
Community changed over the years. You've seen a lot of games. The 21 years at Mizzou, and obviously with SLU, and you are traveling all over the country, mostly the Midwest. But what has changed in the evolution of baseball?
The biggest change for me is the kids, and it's the way they go about it, and the way they do it, and the direction of what they do. And a lot of it has to do with, I think, the new age metrics, tools, numbers, all of that stuff that they get to chase anymore during the off seasons, which is awesome, which is great. But there's a lot of things that are lost in translation with those as well too. Because once you get them at the college level, a lot of guys are worried about the launch angle or I got to throw 84, or I got to throw 87, I got to throw this, I got to in 90 whatever, and that's fine, that's great, it's awesome. But at the same time, when you get to a college, that job of that coaching staff is to win baseball games. Mm-hmm. How do you win baseball games? Well, obviously it's not by throwing up whatever number. That's part of it. That's great. But also too, there's a lot of things that are lost with the generation of kids these days. Mm-hmm. And it's just a lot of little things. How do you back up a base as a pitcher? How do you turn the double play as a middle infielder? How do you take routes in the outfield as a how do you take the extra base when the ball's in the dirt? The biggest thing with pitchers is how do you hold runners? Pitchers don't know how to hold runners anymore.
No,
they really don't. They don't do how to do that. And then all of a sudden you get guys that are 1-5 to the plate, and you want to teach them a slide step, and they look at you like you're on Mars, and you're like, well, I'm going to lose my velocity if I do that. Well, everybody's going to steal every base, and the guy's going to be at third base. You throw one bad pitch, and it's a run for them.
The player that holds the Tiger stolen base record literally lived off of that. Mm-hmm. And I had him when he was a freshman, and I taught all my guys, guys, pitchers don't know how to hold on runners. Just figure out what their pace is, and then just take the bases.
Yeah.
And literally, he did that every single game. He was averaging, 2.5 steals a game?
Oh, at least, yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about with Adam Jansen in our last podcast. What do kids associate the best player with now? It's not the kid who fields a 980 clip or that does all the little things right. It's the guy who hits the ball the furthest and throws the ball the hardest. That's all they equate as the best player on the field.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, does that guy miss barrels as a pitcher? Does that guy have a high contact rate? Does he do all the little things right, back up bases? Does he they don't equate that anymore.
Well,
that's where it's kind of shifted.
To their defense, and I'm talking the kid, that's all they see on TV anymore.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. They see the Sports Center highlight of the home runs, the strikeouts. And that's what I want to be. That's what they aspire to be. There's nobody really. I mean, I'm sure there are, but sit down and watch a Major League Baseball game and try to dissect it as a player and watch the nuances of the game and try to learn those. The kids don't watch that. They don't do that. They're not going to sit there for 2.5 hours and do that. They just don't. And like I was telling you, they don't, if you drive around the neighborhoods anymore, there's nobody out there playing wiffle ball games or kickball games or.
Well, they're socializing through Minecraft and all those video games.
Yeah, you're not getting to fight with your neighbor and trying to learn how to win. You're not punching your neighbor in the nose because he cheated on you or something anymore. That doesn't happen anymore. That's how I grew up is, playing whatever with your neighbor and you wanted to beat him at whatever. The game is in your front yard. That is. It's a different group and college coaches have to learn how to coach that though. That's a thing that
it's an art of coaching.
You have to really, really work on, especially the last couple of years when I was down at SLU. We've had to work at how do we reach these kids and have those kids be successful with the way they are these days. It just.
So is it technology? Is it communicating through technology?
A little bit. You have to over communicate with them for sure. You just have to.
You're sending them texts through instead of talking to them, you send them through text.
Everything's a text. Everything's a text, which is fine, which is great. But I have more face to face and talks, and I'd wait till I get to practice and talk about whatever. But you would also preview it with a quick text of, hey, let's go over this at practice today. Mm. And okay, you get the smiley face or the thumb up or whatever, which is awesome. But just that's how they communicate these days. So we had to adjust to that a little bit and try to reach them in different ways that they know how to be, communicative, because there's literally, nobody face to face anymore in a general sense of, how do you communicate with somebody? It's all, you're behind something, you're behind your phone, you're behind your computer with an email, a text, or whatever it is. Generally, it's hard to, it's simply going through a drive-through and ordering food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't know how to literally do that anymore. It's hard to do.
That blows my mind. I would never send an emoji to a college coach, ever. That blows my mind.
I guess that's the art of coaching and teaching, is that you have to adapt to that.
Yeah. When you get to the college level and you kind of work with their level, you can sit. I spend all the emojis you want, all of the funny looking pictures to just make them laugh. I mean, to get
Coach
them,
Pratt just sent me a poop emoji.
something, yeah, just to make the conversation just to get to them, really.
Yeah, I think I'm not a fan of like fighting against that. I think you've got to find a way to go with the flow, even though it's not what we grew up in, and obviously generation. But again, it goes back to it's the art and the skill set of a coach or a teacher to figure out, okay, what's the actual communication tool that I have to use? Is it a story? Is it an emoji? I can't believe I just said that. Is it me going on Snapchat? One of the two. I mean, obviously we use Twitter a lot and using social media to communicate. And now we have the VIP section where we're trying to communicate through that way. So just different levels of communication. How has the parents changed over the years with communication? Obviously you're recruiting the player, but then you have to talk to the parent. How's that changed?
Yeah, a little bit. Even more, the parents have, I think, in a general sense, a little more higher expectation of their kids and what they expect and what they want to do, because they see, because college baseball has boomed on TV, and the exposure and the spotlight is like, it's major league-ish as far as the top end Power 5 guys, because they're always on TV. With the tournament starting and all that stuff, the fun part of the season is getting ready to start.
Would you say it's Christmas Day for college?
Yeah,
baseball?
It's Christmas Day. Obviously today it is,
which
June
is
whatever.
It's June 4th. And we're recording this on a Friday, so the regionals are just now starting. It's a big celebration inside college baseball.
Absolutely. So everybody's getting to see the fun part of college baseball. Yep. So my kid can play there. My kid can do this. So I think there's a little bit more generally. A little bit more overhyped for the parents on that end of it, just because they see, everybody in the world these days are committing earlier and earlier and earlier, and everybody knows that this Johnny committed as a freshman to whatever school. Well,
I want to get down that route.
Yeah,
in the Tiger interview series.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like that is just going to be an explosion of a conversation. Yeah. So if you're listening to this, we're going to record another podcast coming up, and we're actually going to go down specifically on the recruiting route. Right. This episode's all about just culture and how the landscape is. Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, so I think parents see that, and the kids see that, and the kids want to go, I want to do that as well too. So a lot of the parents think that, well, my kid can do that. Well, why can't he do that? And some of the expectations and stuff. So if the kids don't do their homework at the very beginning, and the parents don't do their homework and say, my kid is a junior college player, my kid's an NAIA type guy, my guy's a Division I type player, then the expectations kind of get lost to the shuffle just a little bit. But for the most part, the parents are still pretty good. They're pretty grounded. But there are some, like I said, they'll kind of, your kid's not that.
Do you think labeling just hurts? Like they're labeling their kid before it actually happens?
Especially early on. And that freshman, sophomore year, when you see kids that are learning how to play and learning their bodies, it's hard, yes. And they do get labeled. But when those kids change at 16, 17 instead of 14, 15, it's a whole different ballgame. And you can dream on a kid that's 15, 14, whatever years old, but that kid's gonna be totally different in 2 or 3 years. And that's what I tell a lot of the kids and all the kids that I've talked to is, get in touch with a college, have that college coach tell you, I think you're going to be this. Don't let mommy and daddy tell you. Don't let your friends tell you. Don't walk down the halls and say, well, I'm going to be a Division I baseball player. Well, no. Get it from the professionals. Get it from the source and let them say, hey, I think you'd be a best fit at this place. Because most college coaches are awesome with that. And if you bug them enough and say, hey, I'm going to be playing at Division I Power 5 guy, I said, well, and you talk to 3 or 4 different coaches and they all tell you that you're a Division II player, well, you're probably a Division II player. So I think that's where kind of the mommies and daddies a little bit get mixed up with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. It's just who you are. There's nothing.
I think from Catch new episodes of the Tiger Interview Series on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and you can watch it on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to get notified of future episodes by setting notifications to all. And check out our website, rawlingstigers.com, for club baseball and softball information.